Hello, learners! We have discussed the concept and significance of research and the types of research. Now, we'll be dealing with research methodology, research methods, and the research process. It is important to understand the difference in research methods and research methodology before we begin. Research methods consist of all those tools and techniques which are used to conduct the research. Research methods can broadly be classified into three groups. The first group consists of methods related to data collection. The second group includes statistical methods used for data analysis. And the third group includes statistical tests to draw the inferences from sample data. On the other hand, research methodology is a complete approach used to solve the research problem in a systematic way. It is a way to find out the solution of a given problem on a specific topic. It is important for the researcher to have a thorough knowledge of both research methods and research methodology for conducting effective and meaningful research. It is expected that a good researcher should know how to collect primary data, how to calculate mean, median, mode, standard deviation, etc., how to make use of various statistical tests for the hypothesis testing, what are the steps of conducting research, etc. In brief, research methodology is a broader term which includes research methods. When a researcher is thinking of conducting a research, he must have knowledge of research methods as well. Now let's have an insight into the research process. As earlier discussed, research is a detailed and systematic process aiming at producing the knowledge and solving specific problems in various domains of management. So, it is important to understand those steps. The main steps of a research process are identification of research problem, conducting literature review, formulation of hypothesis, preparing the research design, determining sample design, collecting data, analysis of data and hypothesis testing, and preparation of the report or presentation of the results. Now let's discuss these steps in detail. The first step in the research process is the identification of research problem. The identification of research problem is the very first and the most important step of research process. It's always suggested that the researcher should spend ample time to properly identify and define the research problem. In simple words, research problem refers to an unanswered question that a researcher might encounter in the context of either a theoretical or a practical situation which he would like to answer or find a solution to. Usually, it is the area or topic on which a researcher wants to conduct the research. For example, with increased penetration of internet, online shopping is becoming quite common. A customer often seeks product-related information from diverse sources while shopping online. One of the important sources of such information is online reviews. In this context, a researcher wants to understand on what basis customers trust online reviews and make use of them in their final decision-making to buy a product. In this case, research problem may be formulated as antecedents of online review adoption by the online shoppers. Well, there can be various sources of problem identification such as historical data, previous research, experience survey, or exploratory research, etc. These terms will be discussed in detail later. Coming to the second step of the research process, that is, the review of literature. Review of literature is the backbone of any research. Conducting a review of literature is a process of collecting, reading and understanding various research studies already conducted on the topic in which the researcher is interested. It helps a researcher to understand and refine the research problem in a better manner. Generally, a researcher conducts two types of literature surveys: one to understand the concepts and theories, and the other to examine the empirical findings of previous studies. Review of literature is very significant to research, and the importance of review of literature can be outlined in the following points. Review of literature helps in understanding what has been studied so far about the topic and how it has been studied. It helps to understand the research problem in detail. It gives an idea about what has not been studied about your topic. It helps us in exploring more research questions. It also helps us in the development of hypotheses and a conceptual framework. It helps us in identifying the concepts or the variables for research. It helps in the identification of measurement scales. It also helps in the understanding of methodological approaches. The third step in the research process is the formulation of hypotheses. A hypothesis is a proposition that attempts to explain a set of facts or a natural phenomenon. In other words, hypothesis is an assumption about the population which a researcher wants to test with the help of data collected by him. In research, there are different ways of stating the hypothesis, such as null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, directional hypothesis, etc. All these types will be discussed in detail in the hypothesis testing section. An example of null hypothesis is: there is no difference in the usage of internet between males and females. Whereas an example of alternate hypothesis is: there is a difference between the usage of internet by males and females.